Does your aquarium fish have some kind of fuzzy, whitish grayish patch or growth on its mouth or body? Then it could be a fungal infection. Keep watching as I share the most effective treatments against fish fungus and how to prevent it from coming back. Hi, my name is Irene from Aquarium Co-op, and the first time I saw white cottony fluffs on my fish was with my mollies. What I didn't realize is a lot of live bearers are raised and bred in fish farms that use brackish water, and then you put them in your full fresh water, they get very weak and basically catch the first infection that comes along. So cause number one for what causes fungus would be live bearer disease, because again, those brackish raised live bearers, not just mollies, but other types of live bearers as well, when you put them into fresh water, their immune systems get compromised, their body starts shutting down, and what you need to do is quickly supplement with extra minerals and salts to help them get healthy again. So we have a whole video over here about that. Thankfully, the other causes of fungus are usually a little more preventable because it is an opportunistic disease that likes to take advantage of stressed out fish that have a compromised immune system. For example, poor water quality is often a cause of stress for fish. And so you'll often see betta fish with fungus because they're often kept in small containers with no heater and no filter. But that is easily remedied by getting them a bigger aquarium, at least 5 gallons or more, get a heater that's around 78 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, as well as using a filter or live plants or just more regular partial water changes to keep that water quality higher. Poor nutrition is another cause of fungus because feeding your fish the same jar of flakes every single day is kind of like giving a human hamburgers every single day. They're not gonna die, but they might not be the healthiest individual with a really strong immune system. So instead of feeding just the same jar of flakes, make sure to provide a wide variety of foods so that they'll get all the essential nutrients that they need to be happy and healthy. Another thing to do is to feed fresh, high quality foods. Yes, I know it has an expiration date of 3 years, but it's kind of like, you opening and closing this package constantly. There's moisture and oxygen getting in there. It gets kind of stale and gross after a while, like eating from a bag of chips after 3 months, 6 months. It's just not so good. So what I do is there's just way too much fish food in here for me to feed all my takes in a reasonable amount of time. And I'll actually split it out in small little baggies, put them in the freezer, and then I'll feed out of this container, which I keep in the refrigerator for maximum freshness. Anytime I run out of flakes, I get more from the freezer, and that way they haven't degraded as much as they would at regular room temperature. All right, now that we've talked about the causes, let's get into how to treat your fish fungus. So step one, really for any signs of disease that you may see, is do a thorough cleaning of the aquarium. Not only does that provide an optimal stress-free environment for your fish to recover in, but also a lot of medications require you to not do any water changes during the treatment period, so you want to reset the clock on water changes. Go ahead and get out that aquarium siphon. Siphon as much debris from the bottom as possible. Make sure to service the filter so that all the gunk that's collected there is removed, as well as clean the front panel of the aquarium, both on the inside and the outside, so that you can more clearly see any symptoms that your fish may have. Now, one type of fungus really kind of attacks the mouth. Some people call it mouth rot, cotton mouth, where you'll see kind of white grayish patches around this area. A lot of bacterial infections look like that. So in that case, you'll want to treat it with an antibiotic. So after you clean the aquarium, go ahead and remove any chemical filtration, because that would remove the meds for you. And then follow the instructions on the box. So in the case of Marison, for example, it says to do 1 packet per every 10 gallons of water and repeat every 24 hours for 5 days straight. And then you can repeat the treatment, the 5-day treatment, once if necessary. Do not stop the treatment early. If you see, oh, there's no more symptoms, maybe I'll save a little money by not dosing all the way. Well, a lot of times the infection is still there, it's just not showing symptoms. So make sure to follow the full treatment regimen to completely eradicate the infection. Now, if you see fungus on the body or cottonfin fungus, in that case, we want to treat with both an antifungal and antibiotic, because a lot of times the fungus attacks the body, leaves open wounds, and then bacterial comes along and takes advantage of it. For minor cases, well, first of all, Don't forget to clean the aquarium, take away any chemical filtration as usual. And then if it's a minor case of the body fungus, go ahead and use 1 teaspoon of ICX and 1 packet of Maricin for every 10 gallons of water, and then let it soak for 7 days without doing any water changes, and then check to make sure that the symptoms have completely disappeared. If it's a severe case or continues to persist, then do the same dosage of 1 teaspoon of ICX and then 1 packet of Maricin, but dose it for every 24 hours for 5 days straight. Now, if you live in a country where you can't have access to these medications, I'll just let you know up front, we haven't had good experience with certain alternative treatments like herbal remedies, just because the disease, by the time you see it on the fish, really, you need to have a stronger medication to treat it to give it the best chance of survival. So instead, I'm going to highly recommend to you Aquarium salt. This is like kryptonite for body and mouth fungus types. The reason why I didn't suggest it as the #1 choice is because it's not safe for aquarium plants. It's not safe for invertebrates like snails, and then certain fish like anchor catfish are deathly, sensitive to this stuff. It's also a little bit harder to work with because this medication does not evaporate or break down on its own. It can only be removed through water changes. So you kind of got to do some math to keep track of what is the current concentration of salt in your aquarium at all times. I have a whole article over here with step-by-step instructions, but basically you want to start with the weakest level 1 concentration of salt, which is 1 tablespoon of salt for every 3 gallons of water. Go ahead and let that sit and soak in your aquarium for 5 to 7 days. If there aren't any symptoms remaining, then you can go ahead and remove it through weekly 30% water changes. However, if the fungus persists, then you need to increase the salt concentration. Now for my Molly, she had a pretty serious case of fungus, so I decided to jump straight to level 2, which is basically 1 tablespoon of salt for every 2 gallons of water. She was doing okay, was starting to recover, and then 1 week later, I saw the fungus come back. So that's why I had to raise it to level 3, the highest, which is 1 tablespoon for every 1 gallon of water. Craziness. The Christmas moss I had in there was definitely not happy, but thankfully my Molly made a full recovery and she was able to give birth to some fry a month later. Fungal spores are always present in our aquariums, but thankfully full-blown infections are usually preventable as long as you provide clean, stress-free environments and give them plenty of nutrients and minerals. Good luck treating your fish fungus, and I'll see you in the next video.